Ho 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 ho, hello, mon amis. Welcome to how you play as a sapper. And you kill the pig dogs. You kill them in the face and you take their things. Oh ho ho. Well, there's a frog in my mouth. So, to play as Sapper, this is a support class in Holdfast Nations at War. So, basically, you are a builder, more than anything, and you build offensive and defensive structures, mostly defensive. Now, to build, you make sure you have your hammer equipped, which is this lovely thing in my hand here. And you hold right click, and you see in the center, you have a whole bunch of different options. This is what we call the radio. And here you get limited materials which are shared by your team. Generally you will have 3 sappers and you share these materials to make different structures as we will go through. Generally this is where you start. And to build, we will start with the wooden structures. You will go to defenses and you, whilst holding right click, left click. This will give you a new radial and you're still holding right click. And as you can see, there's multiple things you can build. And each of them has their own individual costs, such as the Infantry Stakes, they cost 3 materials, whereas a Palisade Wall will cost you 10 materials. So as we go through them, I've built them all in front of me here. We have the Infantry Stakes, which does what the name says. You hide them in strategic positions, infantry will run into them, take damage and die. You have the gabions, which will be good for building defensive positions to hide behind for shooting and also to protect your cannons. You have the large chevaux de frise. These will kill or dismount cavalry, but they do not harm infantry. Followed up, we have the small chevaux de frise, which is effective against infantry and cavalry and will always dismount a rider from his horse. Followed by that, we have the Palisade Wall, which is in 2 sections. You have the Palisade Wall and then the platform to stand on, and that is so you can stand on the wall, shoot, then come back down to reload in relative cover. But they are susceptible to cannon fire. And lastly, in this radio, we have chairs, which nice and lovely to sit on, and in a pinch could be a last minute bit of defensive structures to hide behind with your team if you are out of other materials. So that is that radial, and then if you let go of right click and then rehold it and then go to mode selector, you can change to dig mode, which gives you a nice shovel which you can attack people with. With this you can build earthworks as shown in front of me here, and then when you place something it will go green when you can, red when you can't, and when you place it, obviously you let go of right click and you hit it with the shovel. Same with these, you will hit them with a hammer as said before. And once you go back to here, and complete the earthworks, you then want to add sandbags for extra protection for your friends, your fellow soldiers, and then you just rapid fire left click until it's completely full of sandbags. Last but definitely not least, the fun ones, the big booms as I like to call them. So you press back into your radio and you go to your artillery section, left click again, and going around we have the explosive barrel, which will be detonated whilst you're carrying it if somebody shoots you, but also can blow people up through walls, which is very effective, and also blows up enemy artillery pieces. Then you have the Swivel Gun, which shoots grape shot, effective up to at least 60 meters if you know what you're doing, 70 plus if you're really good. You can carry these and place them anywhere. You get a limit of 2 per team when you spawn, so you be very careful of where you put them and how you want to place them. And then obviously to go along with that you have ammunition box. This could be used by the Swivel Gun and by cannoneers using the heavy cannons. Carries both types, both round shot and grape shot. And then lastly in this section you have the rocket stack, which is used by the rocketeers. So that is all the things you can build. Next we will go over what you want to use and what you do not want to use, or at least what is my recommendations. So starting back over here, left to right, Infantry stakes are always good on maps where there is cornfields or any kind of cover. You can hide them, because then infantry don't see them, they run into them, they take damage, and if you're lucky you'll kill them. Gabions, hit or miss in my opinion. They're good for building a bit of cover, maybe if you use a swivel gun. I sometimes build them, depends on the situation. The large shiver to freeze I never build, mainly because it's a lot of materials and the cavalry can spot them a mile off. They will just avoid them. They are not overly useful unless you're building a larger defensive area. The smaller shiver to freeze, as I like to call cavalry traps, these are incredibly useful. You can build these inside small bushes, in fields, you can hide them all over the map. They are very effective against cavalry. The Palisade Walls, on the other hand, are the most useless in my opinion. They take up too many materials and they are very susceptible to cannon fire. Anybody on the walls being hit by cannons will get hit by the explosive round, and people will graduate towards it. It's not worth it. I would suggest never building this unless you want to maybe block an area off with just the wall without the platform. Chairs, as I said earlier, are good as a last minute piece of cover, and also you can have a nice sit down if you need. Just have a rest from killing the English pig dogs. It is very tiring sometimes. Earthworks are incredibly useful, and because they are earthworks and not defensive structures, you could build these in addition to all your wooden structures, so you have at least 4 of these available per map. The materials available in a map changes depending on the map you're playing and the mode you're playing. Like, for example, as defenders on a siege map, you will have more materials than in a open conquest map. Explosive barrels are always fun, and there will be many memes related to the explosive barrels on YouTube, I am sure. Swivel gun is amazing. Always build swivel guns, always have them in position. So that's the basics of the Sapper. Obviously this is not in a field, this is a nice plain area where there's no enemies trying to kill me, nobody trying to shoot me or end my day. So there was one other thing I forgot to go over whilst preparing for the next part of my video, is you can also deconstruct things. Say you've put them in the wrong place, you're not sure if you want them there, your team has moved forward, or you want to destroy enemy fortifications. Again, you hold the right click, you go to mode selector, and instead of construct you want to go to deconstruct. And then you get a nice lovely sledgehammer, which you can also attack infantry with if you so desire. And you just go up to the thing that you would like to remove and start whacking away, and you'll see the health bar of the thing you built start to go down, and once it has completely gone, you will regain the materials they have used and the constructed thing will have disappeared. So let's move on to the next section. Okay, so we've gone over the basics of how to build structures and what my recommendations are to build and not build. Obviously you do what you see as fit. These are my recommendations in the day. This is just how I think Sapper is best played. Now again, this is a plain open field. Each map in the main servers will vary, and where the enemy are and so on, so you have to adapt to the situation as it goes, like where your team are, where they're attacking, what objective may need defending, and so on. As long as you're helping your team, that is most important. This is an auxiliary class. You are there to mostly build and construct things to help your team. You should mostly use your carbine, which is your gun, to fend off enemy cavalry and aware situations if your position's getting overrun or if you have run out of materials. Now that being said, this is roughly what kind of defensive position I like to build, except I've missed a spike here because I'm super clever. This is a kind of defensive position I would build for the team. Obviously, again, the maps are less flat than this a lot of the time. You have your 2 swivel guns with an ammunition box for each, so they're not having to crawl back and forth, because when you go up to an ammunition box, you select your ammunition type and then you have it in your hands. You don't want to be going all the way over here where you may get shot. Now, as you can see, I've got the earthworks surrounding us where our infantry can aim and shoot at the enemy. We should have one gunner on each gun, and that's anybody on the team or you yourself if you run out of things to build. In front of the position, we have infantry spikes that will dissuade them from direct charges, and if they do charge, they will either hurt the enemy, kill the enemy, or at least slow them down while they destroy them. In the rear, you see I've got mostly these small anti-cavalry spikes. And again, I've left another gap, but we'll fix that. Basically, this is to protect the rear line of your troops as they're getting into position and to stop cavalry diving in. You put some in the centre and again near the swivel gun position to protect your swivel gun gunners. This is what I like to call an all-around defence, so you're protected from the back, and if anything comes, you have time to deal with the situation. And putting spikes in the centre of your built-up position, wherever that might be, gives cavalry less turning circles and more opportunity to kill them or dehorse them. This is what I like to call my Fort Tim. Yeah! Some people might get that little reference. Yes, you see, these small cavalry spikes only take 2 hits with the hammer. They're very effective, very low materials, very quick to raise. Built in a position like this, the only thing you have to worry about is enemy artillery, and then you just have to pray that the friendly artillery can help you out, because a lot of this can very easily be destroyed by cannon fire and rocket fire. But then as a sapper, then you can rebuild and repair. But what you can also do as a last ditch effort, if you think your position may get overrun, is you build an explosive barrel. Wait until the team gets close. And then, once I build this, I'll show you. You just go up to the barrel, press E, press ignite, try and hold the team off, enemy team off, and then it will go 3, 2, 1, boom! And you see it does not damage your own buildings, it only damages anything from the enemy team. The one last thing I have to say on Sapper before we go, and I may put other videos in this that I have recorded of my gameplay. When you're playing a conquest game, let's say for example that British flag there is an objective and we have to capture it, as a sapper, what you do not want to do, if we are pushing forwards towards that flag, is you do not want to build cover here for your troops to gather at. Because what happens is you'll build this nice cover and your troops, especially people who are new to the game or even slightly new to the game, will congregate to this because it's a nice built up cover area where they can shoot from. The downside is, yes, you are in slight cover, but the enemy team has the objective. So what you want to do is, let's say this is the reverse, I've attacked from the other side of this building. You want to build cover in front of the objective. So you're holding the objective from the enemy team and you're building around it to defend it. And again, I would build similar to Fort Tim over there. Okay, that is everything I believe for my how to play Sapper and a few hints and tips. I do hope this helps people play, and to be honest, I've never made YouTube videos before, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But yes, leave me any comments, suggestions, tips, how you play Sappers, anything I've missed, even though I've got way too many hours in this game. I look forward to hearing it and hopefully making more of these in the future. And goodbye for now.